We'll show you what GSAK is and how to use it next on Discover Geocaching. GSAK stands for Geocaching Swiss Army Knife. That's because it does so many things, and it's by far the most powerful database software for geocaching that's out there. And the best thing, it's free, completely free. Well, we're going to tell you how to install it, set it up, and load some caches into it, and then work with those caches. So let's get started. All right, we are going to go to the GSAK website, which is gsak.net. I will have a link for this in the description. So if you forget, it'll just be down in the description. So if you notice here, they have several different places you can go. I'm going to let you explore this on your own, but really quickly, there's a forum that you can log into and get information on how to get started and frequently asked questions. Also, here's the link to the frequently asked questions. There's more help here with the features, getting started. So there's a lot of help for you. Let's just go back home and we will scroll down a little bit. And yes, GSAK is now freeware. It is absolutely free and safe to download, which is what we're going to do here. So just click download here. Where do we want to put it? Let's put it in my GSAK folder. I've already had this installed on my computer, so your experience may be a little bit different just because GSAK is going to know that where my location is and my username and all of that. But we're going to show you how you can go and get that for you too. So it's downloaded. We click on the file down at the bottom. We want it in English. We'll click OK. We'll click Next. We accept the agreement. You can read through this if you like. I already have. Click Next. And this is where we want to put it. Next. That's what we want to call it. Next. And it'll create a desktop icon. If you want to have a quick launch icon, you could do that. And this is the important one. We want to associate GPX and LOC files with GSAK. This will allow you to double click on a GPX or LOC file and GSAK will open up. We'll click Next and install. Takes a minute or so, maybe not a whole minute. Okay, 20 seconds. And it's finished installing. We will keep that checked so it'll launch GSAK. So as GSAK comes up, oh, it opened up and it's back there. I'll just click on it. So you notice that it's blank because there are no caches loaded into it. And there's a bunch of different ways you can load caches into GSAK. And I'll show you just one of them right now. So you'll need a GPX file that we were talking about earlier. And what I did earlier is I went to geocaching.com and I went to build pocket queries. And down here, it's one click away and it builds a pocket query on all the caches that you found. So all you have to do is click on this button, Add to Queue, and you will get your finds, all of the geocaches that you found all in one file, which is what was back here, and it's called My Finds Pocket Query. And I've already downloaded it. So I have it on another screen off to the left, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just drag and drop it from that other screen right into GSAK. So we'll go back into GSAK. All I'm doing is dragging and dropping from another folder that you can't see right now. It's on a different screen. And I'm just letting go. And here's the name of the file. It's a .zip file. Everything looks good. I'll just click OK. So GSAK now is loading all of my finds into the database. All right, it's finished. It loaded 4,338 waypoints or geocaches, which is my find count right now. And I'll click on OK, and GSAK populates with all those caches. Couple of things we want to do first of all for you. Like I said, mine is set up because my computer already had GSAK loaded on it previously. Well, we want to go to your location, your cache name, and we may want to check your miles or kilometers setting so that it'll display in whichever one you use. First one we'll do is we go to cache name. So we go to Tools and Options. And right here, it says Method for Matching Owned and Found Caches. So you click on Owner ID, and this is something that not everybody knows, is your caching name has an ID number that's assigned to it, which is what this is right here. Well, this is where you're going to find it. So we're going to go back to geocaching.com. We'll click on your cache name at the top of the page. We'll click on View Profile. And now we'll click on Edit. We'll come down to Account. And this right here is your member ID number. So you will just highlight this, right click, copy, come down to GSAK, come in here, right click, and paste, and there you go. Now your owner ID is inside GSAK. So this is how it knows which caches to go and find, things like that. It knows who you are. One other thing we need to do while we're on this page is the distance calculation. I use miles, but you may use kilometers. So you would just go and click on kilometers, and there you go. I'll click it back to miles, and let's go to locations. Go to location, you see it says home, and then there are coordinates. So notice this one doesn't have the pound sign. It'll ignore anything that has the pound sign in front of it. So if you wanted to have multiple locations here, you can just use one at a time. The one you're using is the one without the pound sign, just like it says right here. Valid if the pound sign is removed. Well, you're probably wondering, what are my home coordinates? What do I put in here? Well, let's go back to geocaching.com. We were still here in our membership, our profile. Go back up to where it says home location. Click on home location and just highlight, copy, go back to GSAK. And you'll just have to right click and paste. Just remember this. You want to have whatever you want to call it. You don't have to call it home. You could call it Bob if you wanted to. Just remember that it needs to have the name, a comma, and then the coordinates. Once you do that, click OK. And now you're set up. You can go ahead and you can tweak some of these other things, such as what fields are being displayed, but I'm going to let you explore that because there is so much to GSAK that we could have hours and hours and hours of video on what GSAK can do and little different ways you can tweak it. One of the things I like to do is, once you have your location in, is you can come over here to miles, and this cache in the bush is the closest cache that I found to my home coordinates at 0.05 miles. And then as we go further down, it gets farther and farther away. But if you want to see the farthest cache that you found, you just click up at the top, and now it shows that I found a virtual reward cache 5,168 miles from my house. So this is just one way you can use GSAK. You can also come over here, and instead of because now it's being sorted by miles. If I come to the waypoint name, now this is alphabetical. It always starts with symbols and numbers first, and then you get to the alphabet. But we could click it again, and it would be in reverse order. Now it's starting with the last of the alphabet. But I'm going to do it by miles. Now, we'll come over here, all the way over. Here is a column you can add that is called First to Find, and it will show, if this is checked, then that shows that you are first to find on that cache. It would be kind of hard, I think, let's see, what is this, 4,300 caches. It would be hard for me to come down here and go, check every single one of them. I can't remember if I was a first to find or not. Well, that is why we have macros. Macros are really fast ways of finding data. Now I've already downloaded 3 macros, and all you have to do is click on this online macro index, and it'll show you all of the macros that are available for GSAK. Sorry about that, it's a little big. So if you want to come down here and you want a macro to help you with first to find, you just type in FTF, and it gives you all the macros that have FTF in the name or in the description. So I've already downloaded one of these into GSAK, and the one I got was called Find FTF Log Text, and it's right here. So we just highlight it, come down to Run, and then it asks us this question: search for the following text. I guess it's not a question. Search for the following text in my found logs. So some of you have used special characters such as a bracket or something like that, but it will work just the same if you just use FTF. Click OK. And now that macro has run, and it has found FTF in 110 different caches in my list of my found caches. Now this is where you can come over here and you can say, you read this is your log. So this was close to my house and a fun puzzle to boot. I remember this one. Yep, I can mark this one as first to find. And then it goes to 2 of 110. First to find at, well, I remember this one too. And I can continue on down, and it will mark all of these. See right here, it's already put the check mark for me. And as I go through each 110, I might get to one that I wasn't the first to find. I might have put the words FT or the letters FTF in there by saying, oh, I missed being FTF by 10 minutes. Well, it would flag on that because FTF was in my log, but it doesn't necessarily mean I was first to find. So that's why some people put brackets in there so that it distinguishes. You put a bracket before and after, and on ones that you were first to find on. So I can, like this one, I know I was first to find. This one I was first to find. I'm trying to find one I wasn't first to find. Let's see. Well, I'm just going to tell you what happens. If you click Next Cache, it just won't check that one. So if you come back over right here, you notice it didn't put a checkbox on this one. It just, when you hit Next Cache, it does not mark it as first to find. This is just one of the crazy, easy macros that they have available for GSAK. So you can print this listing. I found it very, very convenient to have a list of the caches when I was doing the ET highway. So it was easy. I had one person who was driving, and then I was the one finding the cache. So there was two of us, and they would just keep us on track by checking it off or highlighting it. I can't remember which way she did it, but it had a list of all the caches and what their GC number was, and it's just such a powerful tool. So we will do more with GSAK in some upcoming videos, so stay tuned for those. Thanks for hanging in with me on that long video. GSAK is just so robust, there's just so much to it that we will have some other videos on some of the other basic things that you can do with GSAK. Well, go out there, find some geocaches, be safe, and remember to discover geocaching.